Kyiv, Ukraine, AP, Russian forces captured a strategic Ukrainian port and besieged another Thursday in a bid to cut the country off from the sea, as the two sides headed into another round of talks aimed at ending the fighting that has sent more than 1 million people fleeing over Ukraine's borders. Moscow's advance on Ukraine's capital has apparently stalled over the past few days, with a huge armored column north of Kyiv at a standstill, but the military has made significant gains in the south as part of an effort to sever the country's connection to the Black and Azov Seas. The Russian military said it had control of Kherson, and local Ukrainian officials confirmed that forces have taken over local government headquarters in the Black Sea port of 280,000, making it the first major city to fall since the invasion began a week ago. Heavy fighting continued on the outskirts of another strategic port, Mariupol, on the Azov Sea, plunging it into darkness, isolation and fear. Electricity and phone service were largely down, and homes and shops faced food and water shortages. Without phone connections, medics did not know where to take the wounded. Ukrainians still in the country faced another grim day. In Kyiv, snow gave way to a cold, grey drizzle, as long lines formed outside the few pharmacies and bakeries that remain open. New shelling was reported in the northern city of Chernihiv, where the mayor said he was struggling to organize safe passage for civilians. Families with children fled via muddy and snowy roads in the eastern region of Donetsk, while military strikes on the village of Yakovlivka near the eastern city of Kharkiv destroyed 30 homes, leaving 3 dead and 7 injured, and rescuers pulled 10 people from the ruins, according to emergency authorities. Ukrainian authorities called on the people to wage guerrilla warfare against Russian leader Vladimir Putin's forces by cutting down trees, erecting barricades in the cities and attacking enemy columns from the rear. Total resistance. This is our Ukrainian trump card and this is what we can do best in the world, Ukrainian presidential aide Oleksiy Arestovich said in a video message, recalling guerrilla actions in Nazi-occupied Ukraine during World War II. In just 7 days of fighting, more than 2% of Ukraine's population has been forced out of the country, according to the tally the UN Refugee Agency released to the Associated Press. The mass evacuation could be seen in Kharkiv, Russia's second-largest city, with about 1.4 million people. Residents desperate to escape falling shells and bombs crowded the railroad station and pressed onto trains, not always knowing where they were headed. At least 227 civilians have been killed and 525 wounded in that time, according to the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, though it acknowledged that is a vast undercount, and Ukraine earlier said more than 2,000 civilians have died. That figure could not be independently verified. A second round of talks between Ukrainian and Russian delegations was expected later in the day Thursday in neighboring Belarus, though the two sides appeared to have little common ground. We are ready to conduct talks, but we will continue the operation because we won't allow Ukraine to preserve a military infrastructure that threatens Russia, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said, repeating an accusation Moscow has repeatedly used to justify its invasion, that the West is turning Ukraine against Moscow. Meanwhile, a senior U.S. defense official said the immense Russian column of hundreds of tanks and other vehicles appeared to be stalled roughly 25 kilometers, 16 miles, from Kyiv and had made no real progress in the last few days. The convoy, which earlier in the week had seemed poised to launch an assault on the capital, has been plagued with fuel and food shortages, the official said. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russian land forces have stalled and Moscow is now unleashing air attacks, but that they are being parried by Ukrainian defense systems, including in Kherson. Kyiv withstood the night and another missile and bomb attack. Our air defenses worked, he said. Kherson, Izium, all the other cities that the occupiers hit from the air did not give up anything. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said explosions heard overnight in the Ukrainian capital were Russian missiles being shot down by air defense systems. In Kherson, the Russians took over the regional administration headquarters, said Hennady Lahuta, governor of the region. But he added that he and other officials continued to perform their duties. From Kherson, Russian troops appeared to roll toward Mykolaiv, another major Black Sea port and shipbuilding center to the west. The regional governor, Vitaly Kim, said that big convoys of Russian troops were advancing on the city. A group of Russian amphibious landing vessels also headed toward the port of Odessa, farther west, the Ukrainian military said. Russia reported its military casualties Wednesday for the first time in the war, saying nearly 500 of its troops have been killed and almost 1,600 wounded. Ukraine insisted Russia's losses are many times higher but did not disclose its own military casualties. In a video address to the nation early Thursday, Zelensky praised his country's resistance. "We are a people who in a week have destroyed the plans of the enemy," he said. "They will have no peace here. They will have no food. They will have here not one quiet moment." He said the fighting is taking a toll on the morale of Russian soldiers, who go into grocery stores and try to find something to eat. "These are not warriors of a superpower," he said. "These are confused children who have been used." Around Ukraine, others crowded into train stations, carrying children wrapped in blankets and dragging wheeled suitcases into new lives as refugees. Among the million-plus refugees who have fled Ukraine in recent days were some 200 orphans with severe physical and mental disabilities who arrived from Kyiv by train in Hungary on Wednesday. Isachenkov reported from Moscow. Karmanow from Lviv, Ukraine. Chernov in Mariupol, Ukraine. Sergei Grits in Odessa, Ukraine. Francesca Ebel, Joseph Federman and Andrew Drake in Kyiv. Jamie Keaton in Geneva. Lynn Barry, Robert Burns and Eric Tucker in Washington. Edith M. Lederer and Jennifer Peltz at the United Nations, and other AP journalists from around the world contributed to this report.